What is up, everybody, and welcome to the PlayStation Forecast, episode 21. The show, if weeks were years, this show could drink, and if time worked like that, I'd be dead. I am one of your hosts, Alex Derrickson, and I hope you guys are doing great. Thank you again for joining me on this fine Tuesday or Wednesday or whatever day in which some of you guys get to this on Sunday or Saturday or something. I'd like to think that there may be like one person in Sweden who's like, the new episodes come out every Monday. And then you're just kind of in perpetuity, 7 days behind. And that's cool. Digest this when you can. I'm doing great. I hope you all are doing well. I typically, this is the part of the show where I talk about what I've been playing. And last week I had so many games I was talking about and so many videos I put up that I spread myself too thin. And I just took the week off. I haven't played anything. I just kind of spent some time. We worked on unpacking. We worked on, I got to hang out with my son, got to hang out, spend time with my wife. We actually, all three of us just went out to eat for the first time ever. Just the three of us. That was nice. It's been a good relaxing week, kind of recharging, getting my bearings back about me, getting my legs under me, splitting my wig. If you're watching the video version, I've finally gotten the long overdue haircut I've pined for the last couple weeks. Yeah, so I mean it's been a nice low key 7 days since I last spoke into the ether of the internet here. So again, thank you all for joining me. Since I don't really have anything to play or to talk about, I have some codes that came in at the wire. I didn't get a chance to do this. Mondays when I record these are specifically reserved for just this. This takes all of my energy. I spend the whole day at work just stewing, and I come here, I grab this mic, I grab this fine stand, I stare into this camera here, and in a full 720p, I just pop off. But let's just get started. Let's get into the rigmarole. This is the PlayStation Forecast, and it does come to you each and every Tuesday at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on youtube.com/PressX2Alex and podcast services in general. Just all of them except for SoundCloud, unless someone wants to front me that SoundCloud money. Otherwise, it ain't happening. If you like the show, you can review it on Apple Podcasts like so many of you have. Like 62 of you already have. And I said, if someone reviewed it between last week and this week, y'all were getting read. So on my phone, takes a minute to boot these up. I'm going to let you know. So you can subscribe to the show if you use Apple Podcasts. It is as easy as just clicking the subscribe button on your screen. And I'm looking at myself right here. You can't see it, but you subscribe, you scroll down, hit the 5 stars. It's going to ask if you want to write something. And you know who wanted to write something, I will tell you. Ampersand E parentheses Andy, get it, C says this podcast is the knees of bees and continues this podcast either A, cures most forms of cancer, or B, gives entertaining insights into all things PlayStation. You decide. I have decided it's B. I cannot vouch for A. If that's happened, that's purely coincidental. I had nothing to do with it. Or you could be like Lime Liquor 1, which is an interesting name, who says he loves it. 5 stars. Good stuff and easy to listen to while working. Only critique would be to be a bit quicker with the spoiler tags. I will admit I am probably at fault there. If I have ever spoiled a game for you that is less than 7 years old, I apologize. I try to be very aware of spoilers. I know sometimes I may get into something, or an article might sprinkle one that gets past me. I don't get a chance to kind of black it out before I bring it to you. So that's on me. I apologize. Lime Liquor 1, I will work a lot harder at preventing spoilers. But you can review the show on the podcast service of choice and subscribe to help this little Mama Jamma's label of love to get found. It helps out a lot. Actually, I think in the iTunes algorithm, I mean this. I shit you not. Subscribing and reviewing are worth like 5 plays. It's absurd. I don't get it. I don't understand it. But that's how we got on the charts so quickly. all those weeks ago, as everyone just kind of came out of the woodwork and y'all hit subscribe because I love you and it means the world to me. But also, the subscribing and the reviewing, that's what helps this get charts in the games and hobbies charts. It helps out a lot. You can also subscribe at youtube.com/pressxtoalex. And again, all of these links can be found in the episode description on both the video and audio formats. And if you want to write into the show, because sometimes I get real long in the tooth, you can write into psforms.pressxtoalex.com. That's psforms, plural, .pressxtoalex.com, where you can submit your questions, comments, concerns, whatever, what you ate for lunch. I guess there's not a spot for that, but I guess you could just put it in there and let me know, I guess, so we can talk about that. But that is it for me. So like I said, no real housekeeping, nothing. I was gonna do a video kind of talking about the whole IGN plagiarism thing because it doesn't really fit within here. And it doesn't fit, and it's just time sensitive, time related. I thought about doing that, maybe, sounding off on that. I'm not going to say anything you haven't already heard. It's a bit ridiculous. So go venture that out. That you're not going to hear about that here, but if that is a news story that interests you, as it should, especially if you're of the gaming journalist variety or aspiring game journalist, you should really look into that and read a big old conglomeration and amalgam of what not to do when you get a really good job. So, without further ado, let's get into the news. Now, one came right across the wire here, right as I was getting ready to do this. Came in, I print these off Monday morning. This came in Monday afternoon, coming in hot with some new news, and it is your PlayStation Network top downloaded games for the month of July. Your number one downloaded PS4 games off the PlayStation Network are as follows. Number 1, for the second month in a row, Grand Theft Auto 5. Again. Number 2 is Rocket League. Number 3 is No Man's Sky. Number 4 is FIFA 18. Number 5, Destiny 2. Number 6, Darksiders War Mastered Edition. Number 7, Minecraft PlayStation 4 Edition. Number 8, Fallout 4. Number 9, Need for Speed. Good for Need for Speed. Number 10, Horizon Zero Dawn Complete Edition. Your top 10 downloaded PSVR games for July are: number 1, Rick and Morty Virtual Reality. Number 2, PlayStation VR Worlds. Number 3, Job Simulator. Number 4, Super Hot VR. Number 5, Drive Club VR. Number 6, Arizona Sunshine. Number 7, Keep Talking and Nobody Explodes. Number 8, Doom VFR. Number 9, The Elder Scrolls V Skyrim VR. And number 10, Static. I do not know what Static is. Throw me for a curveball here. Let's see. We'll do top 10 free-to-play games. I normally skip this, but we're right here. Number 1, Fortnite Battle Royale. Number 2, H1Z1 Battle Royale. Number 3, Defiance 2050. Number 4, Brawlhalla. Number 5, Fallout Shelter. Number 6, Warframe. Number 7, Pro Evolution Soccer 2018 Lite. Number 8, Paladins. Number 9, 3-on-3 Freestyle. And number 10, DC Universe Online Free-to-Play. Now, let's do your top 10 Vita games for July. Number 1, Persona 4 Golden. Number 2, Stardew Valley. Number 3, God of War Collection PS Vita. Number 4, Adventures of Mana. Number 5, Minecraft PlayStation Vita Edition. Number 6, Jet Set Radio. Number 7, Ys Origin. Ys Origin? Ys Origin. Number 8, Jak and Daxter Collection. Number 9, Child of Light Ultimate Edition. And number 10, Bloodstained Curse of the Moon. And finally, your 10 most downloaded PlayStation classics are: number 1, Destroy All Humans. Number 2, Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. Number 3, Destroy All Humans. I don't know if I said number 1's Destroy All Humans 2. I don't know if I said that. It's been 30 seconds, and I've already forgotten. Don't get old. Number 4, Twisted Metal Black. Number 5, Bully. Number 6 is Dark Cloud. Number 7, Rogue Galaxy. Number 8, Dark Cloud 2. Number 9, Ape Escape 2. And number 10, Grand Theft Auto, the trilogy. So, second week in a row, Grand Theft Auto 5. Most downloaded game. It's like it's the beacon for slow months. When all else fails, just Grand Theft Auto 5. It's interesting that when there's not competition, it's it seems like if there's not a new release, Grand Theft Auto 5 just takes the spot. Uh, Nothing really stuck out here. I mean, No Man's Sky makes sense with Next having come out. Darksiders War Mastered Edition was like $1 for a couple days. Need for Speed is an interesting one. I don't know if maybe that was on sale. Like I said, I don't know what Static is. That's the only VR game on here I don't recognize. Fortnite taking back its free-to-play mantle, and Persona 4 Golden and Stardew Valley rocking the top two, and then God of War finishing out the top three of Vita games. Nothing shocking, nothing surprising. PlayStation classics are pretty much all the same, except I think Dark Cloud 2 may have been subbed out instead of the Warriors. There's a lot less Rockstar in the PlayStation classics. If you listen to the older episodes, you know the PlayStation classics are basically like 6 Rockstar games and then the rest. The Grand Theft Auto 5 thing is so interesting to me because we're months away, and we're going to talk more about Red Dead here in a little bit, but we're months away from Red Dead Redemption 2, and I'm interested in the sustainability of GTA 5. Like, obviously, it's going to do better than Red Dead commercially. I think beyond the fact that it has a 5-year head start, it's the fact of, how much of Red Dead's going to cannibalize the GTA crowd and how much of the GTA crowd's going to migrate into Red Dead. I'm really interested in that, and I think we'll get a better idea of that when the October list comes out in November. But it may not even be until December before we see that. But Grand Theft Auto, man, hanging in there, and props to Psyonix with Rocket League staying strong at number 2. And congratulations to Hello Games getting No Man's Sky back up in there. Everything else makes sense. Like I said, I think Fallout, as we get closer to Fallout 76, you're going to see more people kind of like bleed into that universe. Horizon, I know, was on sale. I'm really glad to see people are still getting into Horizon. That was my favorite game of last year. So seeing that still kind of get some new legs to it ahead of, really not really ahead of anything, but just this, over a year and a half now after it's been out, it's really cool to see that still have people that are playing that game for the first time. That makes me really happy. I love that game. I could talk about Horizon for a long ass time. But those are your top downloaded games for July. So let's get into the news that I had already planned on talking about. This comes from Aaron Kaufman on the PlayStation blog. God of War's New Game Plus mode is coming August 20th. Heads up, there might be spoilers for God of War. I'll try and read ahead a little bit to maybe game plan, but just you've been warned. God of War's New Game Plus will be available as a free patch update on August 20th. That's our 4-month anniversary already, it says in parentheses. Remember, to access all the greatness of New Game Plus, you'll need to complete the story campaign of God of War on any difficulty. If you already did, New Game Plus will be ready and waiting for you on August 20th, once you've patched. If you haven't beaten the game yet, you've got 2 weeks, friend. Your boat and axe and boy are waiting. So what is God of War New Game Plus? It's inspired by your feedback first and foremost. With New Game Plus comes along a host of new gear, more difficult enemies, and cinematic skipping. Relive the journey of Kratos and Atreus with all of your previous armors, enchantments, talismans, resources, and abilities on the difficulty of your choosing. Test your skill against higher level enemies, some of which might even have a few new tricks up their sleeves. Unique to New Game Plus is a brand new rarity level of equipment to craft and upgrade. Collect Scap Slag, a new resource to upgrade your gear to the best of our best from our finest blacksmiths. Play the game in a whole new way by exploring new customization options with extremely powerful new armor sets and enchantments. And finally, get right back into the action with the newly added ability to skip through cinematics in both normal and New Game Plus modes once a full playthrough has been completed. This is easily our biggest update to God of War. We're certainly looking forward to seeing who completes Give Me God of War New Game Plus mode first. That's a feat. Thank you for all your patience and allowing us the development time necessary to create New Game Plus. It arrives August 20th. So no spoilers. There we go. I don't know what Scap Slag is. That's very Nordic. It's like the most Nordic sounding thing I think is if that game didn't have enough Nordic in it. So yeah, if you haven't finished God of War like me, and you've just been dragging ass on that, now you've got a couple weeks to play through it and then jump right back in. But I know there's a lot of people that have been, since finishing it, since April, which is crazy to think we're already 4 months, 4 months deep into this, that have finished it and have said they just wish they could go back. They almost wish they haven't finished it, and subconsciously, that's the excuse I'm giving as to why I haven't finished this. I just don't want it to end. It's not anything to do with the fact that I have absolutely no time, or I'm already behind on so many other things that I can't make God of War a priority. But it's exciting. I mean, I love the fact that they're doing something to kind of pull people back in, like once you kind of feel like you're out, it's coming right back in. And just in that right enough time where you're, a week and a half, 2.5 weeks from Spider-Man. I think that's really smart, because if you're just someone that plays exclusively on PlayStation, you're getting that at the right time, where if you're someone that played God of War, you've already beaten Detroit and you're kind of sitting on your haunches, resting on your laurels, waiting for Marvel's Spider-Man. You've got 2.5 weeks to jump back into most people's game of not just the year, but the generation. And I think that's really smart. It's a really well-placed, well-timed update. So props to Sony Santa Monica for keeping that going. I really need to get back in there. I told my wife I'm going to, sometime in the next month, I'm just going to take 4 days off work and just get through God of War, play through Detroit. If I haven't finished Spider-Man, finish Spider-Man, and just chip away at the 2018 backlog. I've already put Red Dead way in the back of my mind. So I'm gonna start working on that. That's a plan that I have. Is I'm really behind on stuff, and if I want to do a Game of the Year episode, or a PlayStation Game of the Year episode rather, I kind of need to know about the bigger games. It would help, since it's a PlayStation podcast. Speaking of PlayStation, because who's not when we're doing this show? Sony celebrates 500 million PlayStation systems sold with a limited edition PS4 Pro. This is from Adam Bankhurst at IGN. Sony is celebrating the milestone of 500 million PlayStation systems sold with a 500 million limited edition PS4 Pro. Announced on the PlayStation blog, this limited edition console arrives just as over 525.3 million PlayStation consoles are sold worldwide. As a thank you to the fans, Sony will be producing 50,000 units of this PS4 Pro, so good luck getting one. The 500 million limited edition PS4 Pro features, quote, a translucent dark blue console shell and matching DualShock 4 wireless controller, PlayStation camera, vertical stand, and mono headset. PS4 Pro itself is packed with a 2 terabyte hard drive. Each system will have a commemorative copper plate on the front with the serial number etched on it. More interestingly, there will be, quote, extra special, end quote, units that commemorate significant dates in PlayStation history, including 09995, the US launch date of the original PlayStation, September 9th, 1995, 01115, US launch date of the PS4, November 15th, 2013, the day and year most of our lives changed, and 01013, US launch date of PSVR, October 13th, 2016. I think that should be 01 October. Yeah, okay, we're good there. There was no word on if these, quote, extra special units will include anything more than the standard pack-ins of the 500 million limited edition PS4 Pro. For those who don't want to purchase the PS4 Pro, or who more likely can't, the 500 million limited edition DualShock 4 will also be available for $64.99 US dollars, and for the Canadian listeners out there, $74.99. To continue the celebration, Sony will additionally be launching a 500 million limited edition gold wireless headset for $99.99 US dollars, or $119.99 Canadian, that will feature, quote, the same dark blue translucent design with copper detailing. The limited edition 500 million PS4 Pro will be available on retailer websites on August 24th, 2018 for $499.99 US, $639.99 Canadian, with the DualShock 4 and gold wireless headsets becoming available in early September. So threw that on there, one, for anyone that is a console collector or likes, rare consoles, or you're crazy and you just want every iteration of the PS4 imaginable. Let you know August 24th is going to be a day you're going to want to wake up really early and just keep refreshing your browser until it crashes. The other thing is just that staggering 525.3 million PlayStation consoles lifetime sold worldwide. That is, like I said, it's a staggering number. That is absurd. And I always, I think about when I got my PlayStation the first time. It's one of the most just vivid memories of my entire life. It's a day and just a window of time that is so ingratiated in me and just encapsulates so much of like a turning point for me, I think, as a gamer too. And then I couldn't tell you the exact date I got a PS2, but I remember when we got our PS2. I remember getting my PS3. I remember getting my PS4 at launch. It's for those of us that, listen, that are so into video games that, we're the minority that are listening to the podcasts, or even the minority that are making podcasts, because of this brand that we love, or this emblematic structure and family of consoles that just, are so ingrained in us and mean so much to us. It's cool to see its success because you feel like you hitched your wagon to something really special. And I feel that way. I talk about it a lot with the day my family got our first PlayStation, and then the day I got the PS4, and how like, it's just so, oh my God, like it's the reason I have this show. It's the reason, this 525.3 million is a reason that you're here listening to this. It's a reason I'm sitting here talking about it. So it's a gorgeous console too. It looks like it's just, carved from sapphire. It's a really, really, really cool looking console for a company who lately has kind of just whiffed on special editions. It's really, really gorgeous. I'll probably pick up the DualShock just because I know I have odds at getting that one and not the console itself. And who doesn't need more controllers, That'll give me 5, because who doesn't have a 5-player game? So yeah, be on the lookout for that if you're a console collector. Congratulations to Sony and the PlayStation family. Like that's a remarkable number. And as the PlayStation 4 chases 100 million, as it's getting ready to, because it's 83, I think, last reported. So it's passing PS3. It's getting close to PS1, and it could potentially eclipse the PS2. I don't think it will, but I think it's going to put it up there as second, third best selling console of all time, and second best selling PlayStation console of all time. So the PS4 is an unmitigated success. And for as much as, we joke about the sluggish start that the PS3 had, if you look at the final sales numbers between the PS3 and the 360, like those last couple years really, really pulled the PS3 in close. And it's a lot closer than most people would lead you to believe, and I think it's closer than most people remember it. So, congratulations again! Like that's a phenomenal number. That's a phenomenal achievement, and what a way to just commemorate it than being like, yeah, we've sold 500 million systems. Here's another one. So as the PS4 starts to sunset, it's cool to see stuff like this occurring and these milestones not only just being reached but being celebrated in this way. Next bit of news is a bit more global, as Germany is removing the blanket ban on Nazi imagery in games. This comes from Mariella Moon at Engadget. Before video games with swastikas and other Nazi symbols can be released in Germany, they have to go through some major edits to censor those images. Every Nazi eagle and swastika, and even Adolf Hitler's mustache in the Wolfenstein series, had to be scrubbed, for instance, even though Nazis are villains in the game. That will no longer be the case going forward, now that German authorities have lifted the blanket ban on Nazi imagery in video games. Each title will now be assessed on a case-by-case basis by the country's Entertainment Software Self-Regulation Body, the USK, and will be judged similarly to books and films. When a game is submitted to the USK for an age rating, the regulatory body will determine if it satisfies the, quote, social adequacy clause, end quote, in Section 86 of the German Criminal Code. To satisfy the clause, the anti-constitutional symbols and imagery used in the game must serve an artistic or scientific purpose. They are also allowed if they're used to depict current or historical events. The German Games Industry Association has been campaigning for the ban to be lifted for a long time in hopes that games can spark social discourse about the country's dark past and its reverberating effects, especially among young people. Felix Falk, the game's managing director, explained, quote, "We in the games industry are concerned about the tendencies we see towards racism, anti-Semitism, and discrimination. We are strongly committed to an open, inclusive society, to the values laid out in the German Constitution, and to Germany's historical responsibility. Many games produced by creative, dedicated developers address sensitive topics such as the Nazi era in Germany, and they do so in a responsible way that encourages reflection and critical thinking. The interactive nature of games makes them uniquely qualified and to spark contemplation and debate, and they reach younger generations like no other medium can. End quote. Falk told GameIndustry.biz that the USK has already started conjuring up criteria for rating video games. He expects them to change and grow as more and more games are submitted to the regulators in the next months and years. Continuing, quote, the law still says and will for many years say that flooding the market with Nazi symbols is not something we want. It's forbidden. He clarifies, there will always be a discussion and a discussion in society about where the limitations are, end quote. So I threw this in there for a number of reasons. I'm not going to dive into the political constructs and the social discourse that's going on and the uncivil behavior that's going on, especially, in America right now, as it's a bit, socially, it's a tumultuous time. Things are weird. It's divisive, and I don't want that to bleed into here. I think it's important, and that's why I put it in. As you see, there's videos on YouTube of how Wolfenstein 2 was sort of scrubbed in Germany of the Nazi imagery, where Hitler's mustache is missing, and he's just this villainous rogue of sorts. Despite the fact that they're, like it says, they're the villains of the game. But in Germany, you're almost getting a whole different experience. You're getting a whole readapted, relocalized rendering of, what the story is and what the plot and the constructs of the game are. And that detracts from what is an art. What is, it's an art. I don't have a second word to describe it. It'd be the same as having, I don't know, releasing, there was a History Channel Civil War game that came out on Xbox 360 in the mid 2000s. It'd be the same as if like that in Europe was a Civil War game, but over here it was just the Union versus like other people. And like if the Confederate flag was wiped and scrubbed and Robert E. Lee got, his facial hair removed or something like that, it would be weird, and we'd be sitting here being like, this is a stain on our history. Why aren't we acknowledging it? Why aren't we revisiting it? Why aren't we doing something to drum up conversation about why this happened? And I think that's why games like Wolfenstein are important, is because it's an opportunity. Yes, it's an alternate wacky history where Hitler's, is building robots and whatnot, but it's a thing too where there's still remnants of that history. There's still people that are hanging their hat on that rack to be like, this wasn't that bad. It's frustrating because there's the adage of, those who don't learn from history are doomed to repeat it. And maybe that's in large part because we don't give enough time for history to pass and us to die for us not to repeat it. But it's frustrating, but it's welcoming to see that a country that has such just this like just dark alley of a stain, on their history, to be like, look, like we do need to discuss this. We do need to revisit this and to talk about this so we can bring it to the forefront of future generations to be like, yeah, look, like these kinds of people, while not in this ridiculous mecha sci-fi light, existed. Like they still existed, and these beliefs were something that were pervasive throughout our culture. They permeated throughout so many people, and as creatives and as artists, it should be their job to be like, look, like this is a facet of history that this is based in, and we need to make sure that like everyone understands, like, yeah, this is wrong, this is bad, like this isn't something that we should be proud of, but it's not something we should hide from. And I think it's cool and I think it's great really that video games can be that medium for people to be like, hey, let's talk about this, because it does reach such a like wide breadth of an audience. It reaches kids, it reaches adults, it reaches so many demographics, so many psychographics that are going out and buying these games. And especially when, for people that, like I said earlier, for people that listen to podcasts and read game news, and from a consumer standpoint, are far more informed about what's going on. And this is coming from 10 years of working in gaming retail. The average gaming consumer is woefully uninformed about, games and plots and stories, the creative process behind it and things like that. And largely that's just because they just want to put the disc in the system, pick up the controller and pull the trigger. And that's fine. Detach, escapism, and that's cool. But I think it's important, especially in a time like now when there is so much societal discourse, that there are pieces of media that can exist that can drum up these conversations, as civil as we allow them to be. So I think that's great. It's humorous to see what Wolfenstein 2 was over in Germany. It's humorous and it's frustrating to kind of sit there and be like, you can't hide from this. You shouldn't hide from it. And so to see it kind of being like folded back in, especially when, World War II is such a, just regardless of alternate history, World War II, regardless of World War II historical shooter, the game, however it's manifested and produced and distributed, that it is something like, hey, like, look, like we have to kind of acknowledge this. So that's good. I think it's something we can learn from. I think it's something that raises a good conversation for games and gamers alike. Next news comes from QuakeCon, where Escalation Studios is now Bethesda Game Studios Dallas. This is from Stephanie Fogel at Variety. Texas-based developer Escalation Studios is now Bethesda Game Studios Dallas. Bethesda Game Studios director Todd Howard revealed during the QuakeCon 2018 keynote address on Friday. Escalation was founded in 2007 by former Ritual Entertainment developers Tom Mustaine and Mark Tardif. It was acquired by ZeniMax Media, Bethesda's parent company, in 2016. It's worked with Bethesda on a number of titles, including The Elder Scrolls V Skyrim VR, Fallout 4 VR, and Fallout Shelter on the Nintendo Switch. It's now also working on key parts of upcoming Bethesda projects Fallout 76, Blades, and Starfield, Howard said. We've been working with Tom, Mark, and the team at Escalation for a long time. They've already delivered amazing games with us, and we know we could do even bigger things together, says Howard. Going on, quote, we were honored to join this is from Tardif here, quote, we were honored to join the ZeniMax family in 2016, and the team is humbled now to join Bethesda Game Studios, end quote, said Tardif. We're thrilled to share in the studio's passion and commitment to bringing new and ambitious experiences to some of the industry's most iconic franchises. There's an exciting time for everyone at the studio, said Mustaine. We feel a profound sense of pride and excitement to work on the most anticipated games in the industry, and we can't wait for fans to see what we've been working on. Not a whole lot I really wanted to say about that. Just congratulations to everyone at Escalation. That's really cool, and Bethesda continues to expand. So that's exciting. I'm glad developers like Bethesda exist and publishers like Bethesda exist, because that's how we get games like Wolfenstein and Doom and Fallout and Elder Scrolls. Like they have such a far reach of genre that they produce. It's good to see that they're just getting bigger and, keeping places like Escalation going. Next bit of news is the Uncharted movie is, quote, close to the starting line, says the director. This is from Vicky Blake at Eurogamer. Uncharted movie director Sean Levy has teased the long-awaited Nathan Drake movie is almost ready for filming. Quote, the closest to the starting line is Uncharted, and in that it's a massive title, Levy told the Playlist via Flickering Myth, when asked about his upcoming schedule. We now have a very good script, and we have our star in Tom Holland. That is now subject to schedule and additional casting. But I would say as of now, that seems to be the most near the... Yeah, God, Jesus Christ. That is now subject to schedule and additional casting. But I would say as of right now, that seems to be the most near the horizon. Oh. And it's a movie I'm very excited about. Sony Pictures, which owns the film rights to Uncharted, has been trying to get a film version off the ground for years and has done through many iterations of cast and crew. At one time, Mark Wahlberg was set to take on the role of Nathan Drake, with Robert De Niro and Joe Pesci set to star too. Thank God that didn't happen. That's just me. That's not this. I'm just glad that didn't happen. Beyond the odd update here and there, it all went very quiet until it was confirmed last year that Tom Holland was signed up to play a young Nathan Drake in a movie set to be a prequel to Naughty Dog's game series. I'm gonna be real frank with you. I don't think this movie's happening. You know what? If you look, Tom Holland's still doing Spider-Man Far From Home. He's got reshoots of another movie that he's got to do too. Then, it's... So this is at least 2019 before it even starts filming. So ballpark it at 2021. Why? At that point, so we'll say, worst case scenario, 2021. That means it will have been 14 years since Uncharted Drake's Fortune was released, which means in that time, we've gotten 5 console Uncharted games, Golden Abyss, a remastered trilogy, 2 Last of Us games. Like at that point, probably another Uncharted game, you could assume. At that point, why? Why are we doing this? Like, let the fan film exist. Let the Nathan Fillion fan film be a thing. And maybe see if you can't, just not bogart it, but lump it in there. Let Tom Holland be young Nathan Drake. And let Nathan Fillion be regaling us with a tale of his youth as we go back and forth between past and current. It doesn't need to be this complicated. The games themselves can exist on their own. Like, we already have Indiana Jones. We already have Tomb Raider. We don't need more of those, no offense. But movies, we can always do more Tomb Raider games. That's fine. But when these games are so akin to film, why make the film? It's like when they made the Battleship movie. Like, why have a board game that it has a movie? Not to mention that the Battleship movie had a game, so it was the game based off the movie, based off the game, like it was Street Fighter, the movie, the game. It's just, why are we doing this? Does it have to be an Uncharted game or Uncharted movie? Like, is that a license that's going to sell? And to a crowd outside of us, outside of even the most casual Sony fan who has most certainly heard of Uncharted. Like, do we need that movie? Do we need to use Tom Holland for this? Like, can't it just be an Indiana Jones-esque action adventure? Does it need the Uncharted license slapped on it? Like, do we want that to potentially sully, no pun intended, a franchise? But I don't know. I don't know why Sony is so dead set, outside of the fact that, yes, it is, for all intents and purposes, the biggest franchise on their console, but it doesn't need a movie. If you disagree with me, psforums.pressxtoalex.com or follow me on Twitter at twitter.com/pressxtoalex. I would love to talk to you about this further. Again, all these links, episode description on both the video and audio formats. To me, it's frustrating that we're 11 years in, 5 console games and a handheld game, a fan film, a card game, and a board game, actually, too, that we don't need the movie. I would rather just have a novelization of the games. Like, the further we are removed from the games, the more likely they are to get the movie wrong. And that's my fear, is the blueprint is there. As my camera goes out of focus, the blueprint is there in Indiana Jones. The blueprint is there in Tomb Raider. And even then, that is a game series that is good with average movies. Like, we don't need to keep piling on the average game, the average movie based off a video game. We don't need to keep doing that. So I don't know the obsession or the drive or who wants this. I never once played any of the Uncharted games and sat there and went, I would love this better if this was just condensed to 2 hours or 90 minutes or even 2.5 hours. I never once was like, ah, man, this would be better if it were a movie. Because I think it opens up so many more avenues to get it wrong. And how much of the fat are you going to trim to make it work? And it's just it doesn't make sense to me. The games should be able to exist on their own. And the fact that we can't just let sleeping dogs lie in this regard is beyond me, but that's not for me to discuss. That's why I am in a spare bedroom talking about it and not one of the people making it. Last bit of news is a big one, so I'm going to jump around a lot. You can find Timur Hussein's article on GameSpot about the Red Dead Redemption 2 gameplay reveal. It was a 6.5, 7 minute video, all gameplay, all in 4K. So if you were worried about that, it does provide a deeper look into everything. So I'm gonna jump around a lot because I don't want to read Timur's whole article. One, because that's rude, and two, because it's very, very long, and it'd be better suited for you. So if you want to read it on your own time, I'll put it in the episode description. Also, check out the video for the gameplay reveal. Again, if you're excited, you can either stay away from it or it's 7 minutes. You can check it out too. So let's see here. In the late 1800s, America was evolving on its way to becoming the most powerful country in the world, a voiceover in the trailer states. New immigrants arrived, thriving outposts became towns, and civilization was spreading into the huge, wild, and lawless frontier. With Red Dead Redemption 2, Rockstar Games aims to create a living world that's not simply open, but deeper, more interactive, and detailed than ever, combining action, storytelling, and gameplay in new ways as you live, ride, and fight to survive as an outlaw in a notorious gang. Let's see. As Arthur Morgan, you roll with Van der Linde's gang, who are being pursued across America by lawmen intent on snuffing out the Age of Outlaws. The way players interact with fellow gang members is key to Red Dead Redemption 2's narrative and its gameplay, so they are always available to talk, either for the general chit-chat or to get your missions and activities from. You can also take your compatriots in crime out with you to hunt, go drinking, or rob. Let's see, the Van der Linde gang has a dedicated camp that evolves over time. Players will frequently return to camp to take on missions and activities, as well as build their relationships with other members of the gang. As previously mentioned, here the group can eat, sleep, perform chores, and play games together. The camp needs to be maintained, and each member of the gang is involved in that process. For upkeep, the camp needs a regular supply of provisions, be it food or cash. Although players can choose not to contribute and leave it to the others, helping out will lead to Arthur being rewarded for his efforts. Interestingly, camp locations will change as the story progresses, which makes sense given that they're outlaws on the run. Red Dead Redemption 2 also lets players interact with the majority of other characters in the game world, and these interactions will change depending on the situation and context. Since you are an outlaw, you can choose how to approach the world, either behaving like an upstanding member of society or choosing to cause trouble. Depending on that approach, the world and the people around you will react accordingly. In the trailer, Arthur is shown calling out to passing riders, smack-talking tough guys, and reasoning with a sheriff. He intimidates a witness into silence by beating him, and talking someone else down from getting violent. The horses are another big pillar of Red Dead Redemption 2's gameplay, as they are as much of a companion for Arthur as it is a transportation option. As with the first game, wild horses can be tamed and ridden, but this time will behave differently depending on their breed. Some may be better suited to traversing certain terrain, while others may get spooked easier when around action. To build a bond with horses, players are able to feed them and groom them, and if they're upset, you can ease their stress and calm them too. As the player and Arthur deepens the bond with the horse, its stamina and speed develops, and it also becomes easier to calm it. Needless to say, horses are also pretty handy for carrying equipment. Saddlebags can be utilized to hold extra weapons, killed animals, and pretty much anything else that Arthur isn't able to stuff into his pockets. Arthur, who is a senior member of the Van der Linde gang, as a result has the confidence of its leader, Dutch, joined has the confidence of its leader, Dutch, joined the gang when he was a boy and treats its members as family, inspiring deep loyalty from him. Given that the life of an outlaw is all that he's known from a young age, he's desperate to protect his lifestyle and his family and make sure they're taken care of. Despite being an outlaw, the player can define how honorable Arthur is through actions. The way they choose to approach missions and activities, as well as their general conduct and daily life in the open world, will dictate the level of honor Arthur has. This, in turn, opens up different opportunities and has varying consequences. In terms of shooting and combat, shooting and fighting have been improved to make combat feel, quote, deep and engaging at all times, end quote. Guns now have unique characteristics with realistic reload and recoil, so the action feels grounded. That's. I think I've lifted enough here. It goes on, so it starts talking about like Take Two, and game comes October 26th. The story follows outlaw Arthur Morgan and the Vanderlyn gang as they fight for survival by robbing and stealing their way across the heart of America. So there's a couple things, more than a couple things, I wanted to unpack with this. The first being that this sounds like the most Rockstar ass game like ever. Like everyone, the question was after GTA 5 came out was, how do they evolve from this? Where do they move from here? How do they build off of what Red Dead Redemption was? How do they build off of what GTA 5 has become? And like I've said, I don't, bluntly and broadly, Red Dead Redemption will not be bigger than Grand Theft Auto 5. I think that is a mathematical and statistical impossibility. I think Grand Theft Auto 5 was lightning in a bottle. I think everything fell into the right place. They've learned to manage the community really well. They've listened to the community. They've kept it engaging. They've kept people in. And microtransactions have made them just an absolute fuck ton of money. I can see, you can start kind of seeing where the components of that will play into Red Dead, but I don't think it's going to have the same all-encompassing reach that because of that modern world that Grand Theft Auto has. It has a very real and very unique feel to it that I don't think Red Dead's going to be able to capture. But it seems like Red Dead's focusing more on the granularity of it, like the gun recoil, the different horse breeds, the interactivity of the environment. They're getting in and they're taking what made Grand Theft Auto 5 and Red Dead Redemption good, and with Red Dead Redemption 2 making it great. It's getting the world to feel literally lived in. It's getting those different non-playable characters to have tasks and lives and jobs that you can get them to stray away from. It's almost adding a Westworld quality to it, where you're making this imaginary world feel lived in, to feel alive, and to be able to take these other characters and pull them off course, or intimidate them to strike up different kinds of conversation, or just talk a lawman down to save yourself and things like that. It's interesting, and I'm very, just the more I read about it, the more intrigued I get by it. But it's in such a different way, other than watching GTA 5 trailer and being like, man, I can't wait to go and just fuck shit up there. With Red Dead, it's like, I can't wait to see what I can get away with. Like, I can't wait to try and get in. And to me, it feels more about trying to figure out what I can't do in Red Dead Redemption 2 more than it is what is possible. And if Rockstar pulls this off, Red Dead's not only game of the year, but also going to be one of the greatest achievements in video game history. Like, if they can make this world feel lived in, if the gun components are as specific as they're making it feel, where the reloads are different, the recoil is different, the horse AI is different per horse, like things like that, like really getting in and getting that horse science and applying that into the game. We're hashtag horse science, but I want this game to not be good. I want this to be excellent. I want this to be beyond great. I want this to be the achievement that it sounds like it can be. But again, there's no way that this is going to be more successful than Grand Theft Auto 5. I don't think there's even a way that this is the best-selling game of this year. And it has nothing to do with the time frame it was released. And we saw that with Call of Duty World War II last year, where that was the best-selling game of 2018. That was the most downloaded game on the PlayStation Network, and it came out in November, I think. So this is coming on October 26th, and I don't think it's going to be bigger than... I don't think it's going to be the best-selling game of this year. I don't think it's going to be the biggest... It's the biggest release of this year, but financially and in terms of the amount of hands it's going to get into, I don't see it being number one. I would be very, very shocked. I think just with everything else it's up against, with the other major AAA franchises that are coming out, I know Red Dead is something special, and I know it has its fans, but I don't know, outside of it being from the makers of GTA 5, it's their first game from them, seeing how much that's going to push it forward. Like I said, I don't want this game to be just great. I want this to be the achievement that it sounds like it can, because I would love, like, the Old West, the Wild West, and that whole era is so fascinating, and just a really great untapped market of games to do well in terms of that time frame. And I think if anyone can do it, it's Rockstar's. They've shown in the past, with Red Dead in 2010. But like I said, in terms of like, where is this going to be in terms of GTA 5 and Red Dead, I don't think Red Dead's going to be eating Grand Theft Auto's lunch anytime soon. It has nothing to do with the head start. I think we're going to get... The Red Dead fans are going to get Red Dead, obviously, but I don't know how much of Red Dead's going to eat, how many people are going to leave Grand Theft Auto to play Red Dead, or how many people that have Grand Theft Auto are even going to be like, I'm going to try this Red Dead game out, because I think there's something just so inherently special about GTA Online that we don't know what the implementation of that in Red Dead's going to be. What is the Red Dead version of GTA Online? How are they going to handle microtransactions, since this is a Take-Two game? And they've said that microtransactions are going to be a thing in all of our games going forward. So seeing the 7 minutes of gameplay is great, and it looks incredible, and all of these details sound amazing, and I'm incredibly excited. But there's still the online component we don't know about. There's still the implementation of the microtransactions. There's still a little bit, I think, a few more questions I would like to see answered before the 26th to really get an idea. But according to Strauss Zelnick, said it would be unrealistic to expect Red Dead Redemption 2 to have similar sales to GTA 5. But nevertheless, the company is confident in what the game will achieve, saying it is, quote, yet another creative milestone for Rockstar, and Red Dead Redemption 2 aims to, quote, redefine our industry and captivate audiences around the world. That's great. That's exactly what it should do. And I hope it does. But that is it for the news, which brings us to the wrap-up. So your new games and dates are as follows. The first act of Divinity Original Sin 2 is available for free now on PlayStation 4. Arizona Sunshine's Dead Man DLC is coming to PSVR this Tuesday, so if you're listening to this, it is there. Keep Talking and Nobody Explodes gets a non-VR mode August 16th, and Puzzle Adventure A Fisherman's Tale comes to PSVR later this year. But if we're talking about games that are coming this week, then it's time for us to do the drop. So these are your new releases for August 14th through the rest of the week. Death's Gambit comes to PS4 Digital. Death's Gambit is a hardcore 2D action platformer with rich RPG elements. Master the precise combat and confront the horrors that lurk deep within Ceradon. This is really the last of the August slaps hood. This month can fit so many Metroidvanias. Death's Gambit kind of rounds out the Chasm, the Guacamelee, or guess Guacamelee 2 is going to round out, but Chasm, Guacamelee 2, Death's Gambit, and Dead Cells kind of are all within that same genre of buzzwords. Detective Gallo comes to PS4 Digital. Detective Gallo is a point-and-click comic noir adventure that is entirely hand-illustrated and hand-animated, and whose protagonist is a feathered and grumpy private eye. All right, so I know I normally do worst cover art of the week. This is not this. That's not what this is. But I want you all to at least we'll do these cover arts together. Starting at Detective Gallo. Death's Gambit, you've probably already seen. So if you're listening to the audio version at around 54 minutes, I would suggest maybe hopping to the video version at youtube.com/pressxtoalex and checking out some of these cover arts as we go through the drop here. Doggone Golfing comes to PS4 Digital. Doggone Golfing is a fun pick-up-and-play arcade golf game where cute dogs slap hockey pucks around the globe. Play your angles just right and you could become the legendary canine puck master. Is this a golf game? Is this a hockey game? Why is the golf game using hockey pucks? Why did I have the bowl, Bart? Why did I have the bowl? But I don't... Why would hockey pucks in the golf game? Domino Craft VR comes to PSVR Digital. Domino Craft is the casual VR game with user-generated content. Create domino formations just like in real life, but without the limits of time, space, and materials. You can also share your work with friends and have fun together. So there's that. Guns, Gore, and Cannoli 2 comes to PS4 Digital. Guns, Gore, and Cannoli 2 revives the good old action platform run and gun genre with humor added. Love it. Gotta get that humor added. In this sequel to Guns, Gore, and Cannoli, Vinnie Cannoli's story continues, and this time it's personal. Hero Defense comes to PS4 Digital, out August 16th. In order to destroy the world's most powerful vampire, your team of slayers must impale, slash, tear, and burn through legions of undead hell-bent on world domination. Persian Knights Sands of Wonders comes to PS4 Digital, August 17th. Look at this guy. In the absence of a mortally ill king, the Grand Vizier Zavid rules the kingdom with an iron fist. The young apothecary Tara decides to conduct her own investigation and discover the cause of the illness before it's too late. Decides to conduct her own investigation. Phantom Doctrine comes to PS4 Digital. The year is 1983. The world teeters on the verge of destruction as the Cold War tightens its icy grip. East or west, trust no one, question everything. The fate of humanity rests in your hands as you pit spy versus spy in Phantom Doctrine. So Phantom Doctrine looks kind of cool as hell if you haven't checked it out. It's like Cold War XCOM, but without the aliens, but instead spies. Check it out. State of Mind comes to PS4 Digital August 15th. When mind and machine become one, what will remain of humanity? State of Mind is a futuristic thriller game delving into transhumanism. The game explores a world torn between a dystopian material reality and a utopian virtual future. Super Knight Riders comes to PS4 Digital. Super Knight Riders is a modern arcade racing game inspired by the retro classics. It's all about traveling as far as possible while dodging rival riders and reaching each checkpoint before the timer hits 0. TerraTech comes to PS4 Digital. Explore, build, craft, and battle across alien worlds in this physics-based construction sandbox adventure. Scavenge, craft, and buy new parts in order to survive and become the ultimate planetary prospector. Treadnoughts comes to PS4 Digital, out August 17th. Gracefully pilot your tank through gorgeous arenas to land a deadly shot on your opponents. It's all about moving with style. Vroom Kaboom comes to PS4 Digital. I got a code for Vroom Kaboom. It's a free-to-play game, but there's a premium edition. I'm going to check it out. A tower rush with vehicles. Vroom Kaboom combines elements from collectible card games, tower defense, and multiplayer online battles. Engage in 1v1, 2v2, or 3v3 battles, and even take to the road in a full-featured VR mode. So it's a VR and non-VR game. It looks kind of like Twisted Metal, but tower defense. I'm kind of excited about it. Wailing Heights comes to PS4 Digital. Now this looks like an Alex Derrickson-ass game. Check that shit out. Look at that little wolf guy with his old John Lennon haircut playing the old acoustic there. And that weird zombie fella in the zoot suit playing the slide trombone. A body-hopping musical adventure game set in with a horrific hamlet of modern monsters. That's a tongue twister. After being invited to a gig in a town no one's ever heard of, that's your own fault. Francis Finkelstein is trapped in a holding cell charged with the crime of being alive. The Walking Dead, the final season, comes to PS4 digital. After years on the road facing threats both living and dead, a secluded school might finally be Clementine's chance for a home. But protecting it will mean sacrifice. In this gripping, emotional final season, your choices will define your relationships and determine how Clementine's story ends. I got a little teary just reading that. But those are your games coming this week. Which brings us to Trophy Talk. Some weird ones I'm going to pull. Detective Gallo has a platinum, so we're going to definitely look at that. Doggone Golfing has a platinum. We're going to look at that. Think of the Children has a platinum. We're going to look at that. I'm not going to look at Phantom Doctrine. We're going to glance at Walking Dead. But I just want to all I'm going to do, I'm not going to read the trophies, so don't worry about spoilers. It's a Telltale game, so I just want to check the trophies. That's it. That's all we're going to do. We're not going to look at anything else. You can't see anything. If you're not watching the video version and you're thinking about watching the video version, I've no longer sharing anything on my screen. It's just me again. Hello, how are you? So let's take a look at some of these. And Flipping Death. Actually, I got a code for that too. I kind of want to check those trophies out. So the first one is P-Tunes Party. It has 30 bronze, 14 silver, 2 gold, and a platinum. So let's see here. Get out of here, weird ad. Play 100 mini games. Play with all the characters. Play 10 games on board mode. Play 10 games in cup mode. End a game on Chimera Island. Unlock all mini games on Chimera Island. End the Okie Cup, Moki Cup, Super Cup, Mystery Cup. What is this game? I don't even know. The weird banner art doesn't make any sense. There's a cat holding someone up by their feet, and I can't see him because it's just a lower torso. And they're just stacking weird bunny orb things on each other. I don't know what P-Tunes Party is, but it's a thing. Detective Gallo has 8 bronze, 10 silver, 7 gold, and a platinum. See if this is going to be one that's worth pursuing. That taxi driver picked up his last fare. Cocktails go to my head. A real badass always know when to be sweet. Ridiculous little green men. So it doesn't really tell you what these trophies mean. However, I do like the idea of being some sort of bird detective. I don't want to say duck detective because that's a thing. Duck detective's a thing. If you like Gravity Falls, you're a smart person and you get duck detective. Accident constable, or was it murder? Doggone Golfing has 18 bronze, no silver, 8 gold, and a platinum. Try out practice mode, score under 40 on a course, earned over 1,000 stars, complete Ward 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. Complete career mode, get your first Howlin' One. Look out, everybody. This game's got jokes. Score under 40. So depending on how get 50 Howlin' Ones. That definitely looks like it's going to be the hardest trophy to get. That is a gold, so it's appropriately ranked. Depending on, how hard the game actually is, that might be a relatively easy platinum, so maybe check out Doggone Golfing if you're one of those trophy people. Think of the Children has 4 bronze, 18 silver, 5 gold, and a platinum. Let's see, finish the story solo, finish the story with 2 or more players. I got to play with people. Top tier parenting, get an A+ in every level. Get an A+ in every level together. Get an A+ on the park level, A+ on the beach, A+ on all the levels. Lose the game in less than 20 seconds. Win a level without picking up a child. Make 50 produce splatters. Touch poo while wearing the poo hat. So I don't know. Again, seems like dependent difficulty driven, and if you have someone to play with, that might be an achievable platinum. Flipping Death. We're gonna do Walking Dead last. Like I said, I'm just checking one thing. Flipping Death has no bronze, 2 silver, 10 gold, and a platinum. Flipping Death here. Finish the game, complete part of the story, complete all challenges in one chapter, unlock all ghost cards, unlock every character in a chapter, mind read 40 characters, make someone happy within the first 60 seconds of a chapter, make a character feel all the emotions, happy, scared, angry, have a character stay scared for 20 seconds, help Captain Hero Pants fall down the highest point of the town. That seems pretty doable. It's a lot of golds. A lot of golds. This seems like a pretty achievable platinum. And I've heard it's a really fun game. So be on the lookout probably sometime. I don't know if I'm going to get to it this week. But some Flipping Death gameplay stuff coming soon. I'll probably have something to talk about next week with it too. Lastly, The Walking Dead final season. All I want to see is this standard trophy fare for Telltale? Complete Act 1, Act 2, Act 3. Nope. It is not. It is beyond just completing the game. Nice. A good final touch. Something that makes you want to make sure you do everything. I like that. All right, you can check that out for yourself. But that does it for Trophy Talk, which means another edition of the PlayStation Forecast comes to a close. Remember, this is the PlayStation Forecast, and it does come to you each and every Tuesday at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on youtube.com/PressX2Alex and podcast services around the globe, including Spotify, where you can stream it from there on your PlayStation. Please, I want to see you doing that. Twitter.com/PressX2Alex. It's free. Talk to me. And if you want to talk to me and get heard on the show, there's 2 things you can do now. You can write in, like I always suggest, at psforms with an s.pressx2alex.com, where you can submit your questions, comments, anything else you want to talk about to have read on the show. Or if you use Apple Podcasts, write a review. Write a 5-star review, please. 4 I will take. If you're going to do 3, just don't worry about it. If you're going to do anything lower than 4, just don't sweat it. Don't take the time. It's cool. Your time is very valuable. But if it's a 4 or 5, go ahead. And I'll read those on the show as long as you keep them clean. I don't need like anything weird. I don't need like erotic iTunes reviews. That'd be bizarre. Nobody wants me to do that. So as always, if you want to support the show, the best thing you can do is on your podcast service of choice, subscribe and review, because it helps the show get found. The next best thing is sharing it. Tell someone about it. Have them listen to it. Stand behind them like Snoopy when he's doing the vulture until they listen to it. Blow in their ear. Touch their ear. Just give a little and a touch. And be like, you should listen to that podcast. Share it with your friends. I've started a Facebook group for it that you can join. I think it's facebook.com/groups/TPSF, or it's the PlayStation Forecast. I, honest to God, don't remember. I'm really bad at this. It's exhausting to do all of this on my own. And you can always, if you want to reach out to me and we want to talk away from the show about video games, not video games, I'm always approachable at twitter.com/PressX2Alex. As always, subscribe. That way you don't miss any videos. Thank you again. I love doing this every week. Like I said, I get real tired sometimes, but I'll always come back for Tuesdays at 9 to do this show for you. Until next week, I will see you next time. Thank you for joining me. And do the thing.